You know, it's so easy to judge our health by what we see in the mirror. But what if I told you that the most dangerous fat in your body is the one you can't see at all? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something called visceral fat, a hidden threat that has very little to do with how you look and everything to do with your health for the long run.
So let me just start with a question for you. Is it possible to look totally lean, totally fit on the outside, but actually be metabolically unhealthy on the inside? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. It's something doctors are now calling metabolically obese normal weight. And it really highlights that this danger goes so much deeper than just what you see. And get this isn't something that takes years and years to build up. There was this one incredible study where they took a group of healthy young men and put them on a high-calorie processed food diet. And the result? Well, in just 5 days, they started developing insulin resistance in their brains and began packing on that dangerous visceral fat, all without the number on the scale really changing at all. I mean, 5 days. That's how fast this stuff can take hold. Okay, so what is this stuff really? What exactly is visceral fat, and why is it so different from the fat that we're all used to worrying about? Let's get into it. All right, let's break this down. You know that fat you can pinch on your belly or your arms? That's called subcutaneous fat. It's right under your skin. But visceral fat, that's a whole different beast. It's the internal fat, the stuff you absolutely cannot see or pinch. And it's wrapped deep inside your body, cushioning vital organs like your liver, your pancreas, and your intestines. This is the stuff that gives someone that classic apple-shaped body. Now, here's what makes this fat so incredibly dangerous. It is not just sitting there. It's not just stored energy. You have to think of it more like an active, toxic organ. It's constantly pumping out these inflammatory chemicals and free fatty acids right into your bloodstream, and from there, straight to your vital organs, especially your liver. So you're probably wondering, okay, how do I even know if I have too much of this? Well, look, the gold standard is a fancy medical scan, but a simple tape measure is actually a surprisingly good stand-in. For women, a waistline over 35 inches is a red flag, and for men, it's 40 inches. But forget the numbers for a second. Just listen to your body. Are you always tired? Do you get those awful energy crashes, especially after you eat? Those are huge clues. And believe me, this is about so much more than just feeling a little tired. The stakes here are, well, they're incredibly high. Research has linked high levels of visceral fat to a staggering 44% greater risk of developing major cancers, including colon, pancreatic, and liver cancer. That is a massive number we just can't ignore. So we really need to understand the how behind all this. This fat doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It actually traps you in this self-perpetuating vicious cycle that gets harder and harder to break out of. All right, so check out how this cycle works. First, the visceral fat starts releasing all these fatty acids, which makes your body resistant to insulin. So what does your body do? It panics and tells your pancreas to pump out even more insulin to try and compensate. All that extra insulin causes your blood sugar to suddenly plummet. And then, crash. Your brain feels this as a full-blown energy crisis and basically hits the panic button, sending out these intense cravings for quick energy. You know the stuff, sugary, processed foods. And guess what happens when you eat those foods? You create even more visceral fat. And the cycle starts all over again. And that is the trap. Dr. Rhonda Patrick puts it perfectly here. This isn't about a lack of willpower, right? This is a biological feedback loop. You feel terrible, so you reach for the very things that are making the problem worse, and it just locks you in. But wait, it gets a little more complicated. This dangerous cycle doesn't just happen on its own. It's actually supercharged by some really common lifestyle factors, creating what is basically a perfect storm for gaining visceral fat. So what's pouring gasoline on this fire? Well, it's a list of things that'll probably sound pretty familiar. A diet full of processed foods, not getting enough sleep, being stressed out all the time, which spikes your cortisol, and of course, just not moving your body enough. Each one of these just fuels that visceral fat engine. And let's just zero in on sleep for a second, because this is absolutely mind-blowing. Check this out. One study took healthy young people and just restricted their sleep to 4 hours a night. After only 2 weeks, they saw an 11% increase in their visceral fat. And again, with almost no change on the bathroom scale. It was all happening on the inside. Okay, I know. After hearing all of that, it's easy to feel a little defeated. But here's where the story takes a turn, and this is the most important part. The crucial good news is that visceral fat is highly responsive to changes in your lifestyle. So let's build an action plan to break that cycle. Your number one weapon, the absolute best way to fight back, is exercise.
It is so powerful that studies show you can actually lose visceral fat through exercise even if you don't lose a single pound on the scale. Think about that for a second. Your body composition is changing for the better even if your weight stays the same. So what kind of exercise are we talking about here? Well, moderate cardio, like jogging or biking for about 3 hours a week, is fantastic and super accessible. But if you want the biggest bang for your buck, the most effective tool is high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. And we're talking less than 30 minutes, just 3 times a week. And please don't forget to add in some resistance training. Building muscle just supercharges the whole process. All right, your number 2 tool in the toolbox, it's creating a calorie deficit. Now, it's a simple concept, really. You just need to consume fewer calories than your body burns. And honestly, it doesn't matter how you do it, whether it's counting calories or trying intermittent fasting, any diet that gets you into that deficit is going to help you start shedding that visceral fat.
But here's a really key distinction you need to make. Think of it like a two-pronged attack. The calorie deficit, that's what gets rid of the fat you already have. But to stop the cycle and prevent yourself from gaining more, you have to change the quality of your food. You have to move away from those processed, high-sugar foods that started the cycle in the first place.
All right, let's bring this all home. If you remember just one thing from our time together today, please let it be this. So yes, it is absolutely true that your body can pack on this dangerous fat fast. But here's the beautiful flip side. It's also the very first fat to go when you start doing the right things. Your body is incredibly responsive. The moment you start moving more and eating better, it is ready and willing to start burning this nasty stuff for fuel. So there it is. The most dangerous fat is the one you can't even see. But the incredible news is you have way more control over it than you might think. So the real question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you ready to fight back?